Mr. Leong Mun Wai, you have a clarification for Mr. Murali.
Thank you, sir. Perhaps Member Murali is too happy with this bill. If I hear correctly, he mentioned that I recommended rent control in my speech. Is that what you mean? I didn't say that. Yeah.
Mr. Murali Pillai.
I thank the Honourable NCMP, Mr. Leong, for seeking a clarification for me. I did not assert that the Honourable Member, Mr. Leong, sought rent control. What I said in my speech was that he sought low rents on behalf of SMEs. And as a result of that, it triggered memories of the Rent Control Act. And I was in legal practice long enough to remember the Rent Control Act, which was subsequently abolished. And I recall that where buildings where Rent Control Act applies, they become dilapidated because landlords have no incentive to invest in these buildings and making it tenantable. And in the end, Singaporeans suffer because there's no utility that arises from the use of land. I hope that clarifies. Thank you.
Mr. Leong, another clarification.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask the member again? What you have said is actually a very dangerous inference, into what I said. And it is, I think I would ask you to retract what you have said, because I've just said that I have actually agreed with this bill, and the direction that the government has taken in this bill is, I totally agree, and it's something that is quite rare, actually, that I agree with the direction of the government. But for this bill, I also agree. I'm also very happy with you, But I didn't say that I'm asking for lower rents. I'm just saying that, in general, we should not encourage too much property speculation, and we should not encourage a rent-seeking economy or society. So you should not bring what I said in my speech to that conclusion. It is very unfair for the inference that you have made. Can you clarify that?
Mr. Murali Pillai.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it's not my intention to be confrontational with the Honourable Member. The point I made, which doesn't really need me to repeat, is that really, at the end of the day, we need to have a collaborative effort as between the tenant and the landlords in the context of the committee to come up with win-win situations. So in the context of that, there's always a give and take. And to advocate for specific issues for one party may be good in courts of law, but within the framework that is being proposed in this bill, that is anathema, because the whole idea here is to have a collaborative, consensual approach, and be it in relation to rent or even in relation to sharing of data. Oh, thank you.
Mr. Leong.
Speaker, sir, I think that explanation is still not enough. You must be very clear that I didn't say I'm advocating rent control. Because what you are trying to say is actually, is actually quite similar to what the government has always been saying with regards to what I recommend in this House. Okay, when I talk about we should not encourage too much property speculation, we should impose, we should try to, with this bill, we can have more control over the big property landlord. You say I'm advocating, you say what I'm saying is going to lead to rent control. That's very dangerous. Just like whenever I said about protecting the jobs of Singaporeans, the government accused...
Point of order, Your Honour. Your point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I had just now already, in my first clarification, stated that I did not say that the Honourable Member, Mr. Leong, advocated the rent control. I already clarified that. And against that clarification, why is the Honourable Member still maintaining that I advocated rent control?
Sir, what I'm trying to clarify, and I insist that the member clarify that. From what I say, I don't like the inference that he has made, that I'm trying to recommend pushing down the rent and towards the direction of rent control, and as a result, it will affect the desire, the motivation of the landlords in Singapore to make further investment in property and all that. I think this is too much of inference. And I'm trying to quote that what I say, for example, in jobs, the government trying to label me as xenophobic. When I talk about lower housing prices, government say I'm trying to raid the reserves. This is the same pattern of what the member Murali is trying to do here, in my opinion.
Mr. Murali, you want to respond to that again?
Well, sir, I mean, without getting into the emotion of things, let me just assure my honorable friend, Mr. Leong, that I wasn't making any specific insinuation about rent control to him. I was just picking up a point that he made in the course of his speech, where he advocated that in light of rent-seeking behaviors of landlords, there should be efforts to make sure that tenants get low rents. I was dealing with that point. And in that context, I spoke about the mechanism in this bill, which advocates a consensual approach. The committee itself has representatives from the landlords, tenants, and also other neutral parties. So with great respect, I fail to see how I'm accused of taking his case, or rather his speech, out of tangent. But in any event, the record would prove what I said, and therefore, apart from these comments, I don't wish to take this anything further.
I think the records will be of what both Mr. Murali and Mr. Leong have said will be recorded clearly in Hansard. So I would like to propose that we move on from here, because both sides, both Mr. Leong and Mr. Murali, have clarified. Okay, Mr. Leong, I will allow one last clarification.
Sir, thank you for your indulgence. I want to clarify here, I never in my speech mentioned I'm asking for lower rent.
Mr. Leong, I think that point has been clarified. You will all be recorded, what you said and what Mr. Murali said.
Yeah, sir, Speaker, sir. So can I confirm that if afterwards we've confirmed that I didn't say that I'm asking for lower rent, I'm just talking as a general approach, Mr. Member Murali will apologize to me and correct his statement? Member Murali, can I ask whether you will commit to that?
Mr. Leong, you can sit down. Mr. Murali Pillai.
Sir, I'm not making any commitments, sir. I think, of course, Mr. Leong is entitled to his views, and I hope that he respects that I'm entitled to my views as well. I've already offered that, whatever we said is recorded in Hansard, and we stand by what we say. And I think, whatever that we do, our conduct and all these things would have to be something that would flow from there. So I'm not going to make any commitment.
As I've said, both Mr. Murali Pillai have clarified, as well as Mr. Leong, you have also clarified what you have said.